Hello and welcome. This is a demo to show what we've been working on with the new myTC mobile app. Here we have a screencast from my phone, opening up the TC app here, and you'll see we get a nice little splash screen. I've already signed in. This uses the same username and password as you would use for the myTC portal. And then you have the option on the login screen, which you don't see here, to save your password and not bother you with it again until you actually sign out. So this persists on the phone as long as you don't click sign me out. So if you turn off the phone, restart it, close the app, reopen it, you'll still be logged in and you won't be bothered with the password. In the upper left here we have the hamburger icon, which is kind of universal now for the menu, and you'll see the menu we got here. So since I've already logged in, the app knows that I'm a student. I'm logged in as sample student, and it has custom tailored this menu for me as a student. Right now we just, the menu knows student, staff, and faculty roles, but we do have the capability to cater that to more specific roles later on. So this is a demo now, and it will be, we wanted to call it a beta release because there'll be a lot of evolution here during the beginning when we get feedback from users as to what's being used and what's not, and what they'd like to see that we can add in. But right now, Apple did not like the beta tag. They wouldn't let us publish it with a beta tag, so it's a full release. It's going to be a soft release. We're not going to put an announcement out until we have a few people using it and getting some feedback in from them. So let's go through the menu. You'll see at the top there's the For Guests area. These menu sections are collapsible. In case you never want to see that, you can just collapse it, and it'll stay that way if you close the app and come back. But we'll keep everything open so we can go through these. I'm not going to click on each one of these. These are, in the For Guests area, are links to web-friendly views, mobile-friendly views of websites from Paul Aquaro's group in admissions, news, and the campaign for TC. One thing I wanted to say is that the guest area is there because we wanted to have some content in here for users who may not already be affiliated with TC. Once this app is published on the App Store, it'll be available for anybody. So it's not just for students, staff, and faculty. It might be for people who are considering TC, and they want to find out information about admissions or what's going on here, or even for folks who've heard about all the great stuff that TC's doing. They want to give, they want to donate, so we wanted to include links for the campaign as well. Below that we have links that go to everybody, but not all of these links go to everybody. For instance, if I didn't have access to Gmail and Calendar, I wouldn't see those links down there. But let's go ahead and go through these one by one. Notifications. These come directly from Banner, our student information system, and these are holds. So this only really applies to students right now, though one of my coworkers did have a library hold from 2003 pop up here. So we know that the system's working and it's going all the way back to Banner. And these will pop up, bubble up all the way to the user's home screen, just like notifications from other apps. Below that we have events. This ties into the public event system that you would see on our public website. And I don't know if you noticed, but it updated as soon as I opened it, so it's real time. Every time you open the app, it goes out and checks again and see what events are happening. Looks like I know usually there's a bit more than that, so I bet I have some filters set. So if we go into filters, you can see categories for the different types of events and choose or unchoose to see different types of categories. So right now I'm looking at about half of them. You can see the checkboxes on the side. I'm going to go ahead and check them all off. I want to see all the events. Say done, and now I'll see there's quite a few more. Say I want to filter it though. Aside from using the filters, I can also just search. I remember seeing something about these free yoga classes. I type in yoga and I see those. So I want to click on one. I get more information here about the yoga class. That's great. So what I want to do, I want to add it to my calendar. This pulls up the built-in functionality of my device to add it to my calendar. And I can say even give me an alert 30 minutes before it starts. And click add, it'll add it to my personal calendar. More than that, say in addition to adding it to my calendar, I think this is great and I want to share it with somebody. I can click in the lower right there and I get the sharing dialog And I can share it any of the ways that are set up on my device. So I can share it in a message or an email or Twitter, Facebook, and so on. Next we have the directory. This is the people directory. It has all students, staff, and faculty. And you just type in the first few letters and it'll start giving you some results. Here I'm looking for Naveed, and click on Naveed, and I get his office location and his phone number. I can click on the phone number and it'll start to dial. I really want to call him right now, so I'll hit cancel. And I could also send him an email from this page, and that works again for everybody, student, staff, or faculty. If you are staff or faculty, it'll give your title and office location if that's something that's in the directory. That's only available to people who have signed on. Let me step back a little bit and talk more about those roles I mentioned in the beginning, how the menu is customized based on your roles. So again, back to guests, we did want to have some content for guests, but obviously a lot of this wouldn't apply, and we don't want them seeing maybe office locations and some other stuff. So if you don't log in, you still have access to this menu, but you'll only see about half of these things here. We still give you the option to give feedback and to see like the cafe menu. There's nothing sensitive there, and also the calendar of events is public. But the directory is not, though in the future we might have a public version of that. Below the directory we have important numbers. It's very similar to the directory. It's just more department based, and there's just a few things in here now. We'll be populating this with more information, more data later on. Next we have maps. Maps pulls up Apple Maps and a view of the area, and you'll see that's our wonderful little campus right there. Each of the pins is one of the buildings. Now there are other buildings, so these are labeled, and if I search for one of them like Whittier Hall, that would pop up. I don't think that's a lot of use for most people at TC, though it certainly is for newer students. But you can imagine having a meeting in a building you don't normally go to, like maybe Studebaker. We go to meetings there sometimes, first couple times. We had to figure out where we were going, how long it would take to get there. Here we can just pull it up in the app, search for Studebaker, there it is. I could say get directions, and now in the back end this is connecting to Apple Maps, and it pulls up the route. By default it looks for driving directions, but I'm not that lazy, so I'm going to walk, work off lunch here, and it's an 8-minute walk. I'm at home right now, so I'm at the corner of Tiemann. If I was at TC, it would give me directions from TC. So I'll go back to the app here, and we'll look at the next thing on the menu. And we have the intercampus shuttle. So I don't use this intercampus shuttle, but I know a lot of folks do. I see them waiting there at the front of TC. That's where the bus stop is. And this is a service provided by Columbia. And they have this nice web-enabled view so that users can come in here, click on the line that they normally take. Here I'm looking at the blue line, and we can see exactly where the bus is along the route. So if you see that little marker at the top there, that's where the bus is. If you watch it long enough, you can actually see it moving. So this is a live view of where the bus is on the route, and I could just watch it. There's also information here if I tap in to go see how long it'll be before it gets there. But feel free to go in and look at that if you use that intercampus shuttle. Next is the TC Cafe menu. Here we do have to do a little bit of zooming and scrolling to get to what we want, but this is real live data. They're pretty good in dining services to update this every week. If you go Monday morning, you'll see the full schedule for the week's been posted. At least every time I've gone on Monday morning and checked, it's there. And so here we can see it's today's Friday actually, and we can see that they're having seafood paella. If I'm walking around, I just got out of a meeting and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for lunch. Am I going to go to the cafeteria or am I going to go to Appletree? Well, I can just pop open the app, click on TC Cafe menu, see what they got there, and use that to make my decision. The next three links, Gmail, Calendar, and Drive, are links into our TC apps. And the reason we included that, I know a lot of people keep Gmail set up on the specific Gmail app or an inbox app or something like that on their phone. but a lot of times you want to keep that as your personal email, and you don't want to switch between accounts in those apps. So the official TC Gmail account, part of TC Apps, will always be linked to from this app. So anytime you click on Gmail from within this app, the myTC app, it'll come into your TC email. And the same goes for your calendar. This is your TC calendar, part of TC Apps, and then Drive, which I think is pretty great. You can go directly into your Google Drive, get to your files. If you're working on a PowerPoint with someone, you can pull it in here. And I did this little thing for a friend who was asking, oh, it'd be great if we could actually show like PowerPoints in here. Well, I shared a PowerPoint with a sample student, and we can see it in action here. It's in, again, this is in Google Drive. I'm just clicking on a PowerPoint. Sorry, it's not a PowerPoint. It's a Google slideshow. And here is the slideshow. So it pulls it up. Looks pretty good. I can click play, and it'll go on autopilot here and go through the different slides. So I'm going to hit pause, and that's how that works. I left a link in here to myTC desktop version. So here's the version that you would see if you logged into your computer. It's not yet web friendly, but I did want to keep it in here because not all of the functionality is in the app yet, and there's going to be some stuff you might need to go here to get. The good thing is you'll notice I didn't have to log in. The app already knows who I am, and it did its magic in the background to log me in to the desktop version. Again, I'm logged in as sample student, so I have this next section for students. And the first one is my courses. So we'll click on there, and if I had a course today, it would pop up here. I don't. Unless they removed it, I have a course yesterday because I did this demo yesterday as well for some folks. And here it is. Probability and Statistical Inference meets Thursday, room 227, Graystage Hall at 7:20 p.m. So I can just whip out my app, click on my courses, and I know what time and where I need to be. Grades, next thing, this is coming directly from Banner, our student information system, as well as the course schedule I just showed before this. So this is live data. If, for instance, in the course schedule the room had changed in the morning, I could look at the app in the afternoon and it would reflect that change. I don't need to worry about, as an instructor, I wouldn't need to worry about students having the right information if they all had the app. I could just say, make sure you check the app before you come to class so that you know where we're meeting. Again, here's terms. You can see we can swipe through. Sample student doesn't have a whole lot of terms for grades, but they do have one there, so you can see how that works. Help and feedback. We wanted to make sure with this app that since it is our first release, and it's not beta, but it's kind of in the spirit of beta. There's going to be a lot of evolution in the beginning as we figure out what folks use and what they don't. We wanted to get lots of feedback from everybody about how they're using the app and what they like and what they don't, or what's broken. Invariably there'll be some bugs that we haven't seen that will pop up. So the first thing we have here is the Technology Service Desk. This is the ServiceNow implementation that was very recently rolled out to TC. And here we can search for solutions, request a password reset, report an incident, order new computers, check the FAQs, all that good stuff. And then the next thing is some just a feedback functionality I built in specifically for this app. So if I click this button, it pops open an email form so that I can type in a message and it'll come to our whole group, and as well as to a ticket tracking system so that we can keep track of all the feedback we've gotten and respond and hopefully make the app better. Those next two buttons I'll come back to at the bottom there. We also wanted a way for users to vote on new features. So not only can you come in to vote this, what we're calling the idea box, you can come in here to vote on ideas that have been submitted, but you can also submit your own idea and have others vote on it. Everybody gets one vote on each, so you can either upvote it, downvote it, or not vote on that idea at all. And then we'll get to see what bubbles up to the top, what a lot of people want, and we'll know where to focus our efforts for future releases. And that's it. So that's it for the app. We also have Google Analytics hooked up on the back end, so we can see what people are using. We can see what screens are used most, and if something's not being used and it's taking a lot of development effort, maybe we can jettison it. And if something like maybe if the cafe menu is being used a lot, then we're going to spend some time making that better, making it more viewable so that you don't have to zoom in, and maybe also, making it like some of the other calendar events so you can add it to your local calendar. It's getting kind of fancy, but it shouldn't be that hard to do once we have the data in there correctly. So let me go back to give feedback, because if you were paying attention, you'd see a couple other buttons there at the bottom. I'm not on campus right now, but I'm going to do this anyway. I'm going to click on Wayfinder, and what the Wayfinder is we're working with HP and Aruba right now as a kind of demo of beacon technology. So we've set up some beacons around the campus, and with these what we'll be able to do is set up directions within the TC buildings, within the 120th Street campus. One thing we keep hearing over and over is how much of a maze it is to get around in the 120th Street campus, to get from third floor of Grace Dodge to the basement of Horace Mann. Maybe your best bet's just to go outside if you don't know the buildings. If you haven't been there a year already, it's going to take you a while. So what this will do is help with that, and it will also help with accessibility, because there is the option to include accessible routes in here. But let me dive in so you actually see what I'm talking about here. So if I click on the map, one thing I want to say before I go into it too much is that right now this is a demo, and it's using an app called Meridian, but eventually this will all be incorporated into the myTC mobile app. So there. That said, let's look at the map. Here I can zoom in. Right now I can tell I am looking at the ground floor. If you look at the bottom of there, this is the ground floor. Let's go to the first floor of Horace Mann. So it's going to pull up the first floor map here. I'm going to zoom in to Horace Mann over here. And so I haven't put in everything yet. So this was for a demo yesterday. I put in some of the rooms in first floor Horace Mann. We can see some of the restrooms, the emergency exits, and say I go to amenities here. I can say let's say I'm currently in 140 Horace Mann, and I want to see where the closest water fountain is. Where's the nearest water fountain? Actually, it doesn't know where I am right now, so it's going to ask me for a starting location. If I was on campus and in that first floor of Horace Mann where the beacons are, it would know where I was already, and it would just give me directions. But I have to fool it here, so let's say I'm in 140 Horace Mann. There, I know that's in there. And so now it thinks I'm in 140 Horace Mann, and look at that. That's where the closest water fountain is. There might be other water fountains, but these are the data points I put in. So that's one way to use this. The other way is if you know where you want to go. We have a pretty nice kitchen down there in 51 Horace Mann. We like to invite people down for beers and sodas sometimes. That didn't come up. Let's try kitchen. Does kitchen come up? There it is, HM51 kitchen. And so you can see we've got our cute little icon there. I can say directions. Hopefully it still knows I'm in 140 Horace Mann. I don't think it does, so it's going to ask me here. Let's tell it. Again, it would know where I was with that beacon technology. The only reason I have to do that is because I'm not really on campus right now. So to get from 140 Horace Mann to our kitchen in 51, down there in the dungeon, we have to go downstairs. So what it's doing is it's telling me to go outside of the classroom and go to the elevator. All right? That's actually not the quickest route, because it knows that I'll have to wait 30 seconds for the elevator. Well, I tell it 30 seconds on average. So it thinks I'll have to wait 30 seconds for the elevator. But that's the accessible route. You'll see in the bottom right there that the accessibility icon is highlighted. That's why it's dark blue instead of white. If I click that, I'll say, you know what? I don't need the accessible route. Give me the shortest route. And now it's having me take the stairs at the end of the hall. That might seem like the same amount of time because it's the same amount of walking, but actually it's a quicker route because I don't have to wait 30 seconds for the elevator. I just go to the end of the hall, I walk down the stairs, and I'll be close to where I'm going. Now, if I were able to, during this demo, take this app with me and start this route, you would see a blue dot along this map following you as you go down the hallway. And when you need to make a turn, go downstairs or turn, any change in your path, um, the app will tell you. Like up at the top here, it says 13 feet, turn left. Well, that's just to get out of the room. And then once I turn left, that will change, and it'll say go 300 feet and go down the stairs. And then once I go downstairs, the whole map will change to the ground level. Again, it will know where I am because the beacons around me will pick up, actually the phone will pick up the signal from the beacons around me and update itself to reflect where I am in the layout. So that's how you'll use that. And then once we have all the data in there, it's going to be a lot of work to get everything in there, and we'll have to do it in a way that's sustainable so that when rooms change or routes change, in terms of like if there's work going on, then we'll have to make sure that this stays updated. But I think it's great that we'll have a way for folks to see not only how to get around in the maze that is the very old buildings of TC, but also how to do so if you need an accessible route. If you're not good with stairs, then you'll have an easy way to figure out how to get around. So that's it. That's the upcoming myTC app. I'll just go back so you can see the menu one more time here. And again, we hope to have this out very soon. It's in review right now with the Apple Store, but we don't know how long it'll take for them to approve it. Once it is, it'll be in the App Store, and if you search for Teachers College, you'll find it. Right now, we're not sending out a major announcement because we don't want to be inundated. We did do beta testing, and we had a few dozen folks testing it, including some from Student Senate. But we don't want to jump scale all at once. So we want to do a soft launch, get some people finding it organically, and then after we're comfortable, after we have maybe 100 or 200 people using it and there's no problems, then we'll send out an announcement. All right, I hope you like what you see. Thanks.